The echo of their laughter still claws at my skull. It was the sound of knives, the sound of doors slamming, the sound of chains naming me exile. I remember the shape of their mouths when they smiled. I remember how truth tasted like rust. I remember how silence swallowed my name and spit out a stranger. They laughed. They pointed. They celebrated my fall. I stood outside their circle and counted the breaths between my heartbeat and the dirt. I learned how humiliation walks, slow, heavy, barefoot on broken glass. I learned how betrayal whispers, soft at first, then loud enough to drown prayer. I learned how abandonment isn't a moment, it's a season, a winter that pretends to be forever. You know that cold. You who were pushed aside. You who wore your hunger like a shirt with no buttons. You who begged your shadow to stay. Look at your hands. Look at the scars that read like a map of places you survived. Do you see weakness, or do you see proof? They laughed. They pointed. They celebrated my fall. I drank their mockery and let it burn me clean. I chewed their words until the bitterness turned into iron. I took every sneer and hid it like a seed under my tongue. I swallowed, and from that dark soil something grew, not soft, not pretty, something sharp, something that does not bend when the wind performs. They called me worthless. They called me mistake. They called me too much, too loud, too stubborn to be loved. They used my name as a joke. They used my hunger as entertainment. They pushed, again. They wanted me broken. They wanted me to kneel. I refused. I learned the art of quiet, not the quiet of defeat, the quiet of gathering storms. I learned the patience of a blade waiting to be drawn. I learned how to count minutes by the weight of them, not the number. I learned how to make a friend of the ache, how to make a home in my ribcage when the world changed the locks. You hear me. You who are listening from the edge. You who keep your rage folded, like a letter you never sent. Unfold it. Read it aloud. Your blood already knows each line. Your bones already signed it. Do not apologize for the fire that kept you alive. They laughed. They pointed. They celebrated my fall. I remember the day the light refused to touch me. I remember the moment hope cracked like old paint. I buried a version of myself, and the dirt did not care. I thought that was the end. It wasn't. It was the furnace door opening. It was the first strike of the hammer. It was the lesson the gentle cannot teach. Every echo of their laughter became a metronome. Tick, breathe, tick, endure, tick, stand. I measured my rage. I weighed my grief. I sharpened each hour against my fear until sparks kissed the dark and called it morning. I did not ask permission. I did not ask for kindness. I asked for nothing, and in the asking for nothing, I found what they could never give. Listen closely. The world is loud when it thinks you are small. It tells you to shrink, to nod, to stay grateful for crumbs. But hunger is a language the full cannot speak. Let your hunger translate the night. Let it tell you where the road bends. Let it tell you where the ground is softer for the roots that will come. They laughed. They pointed. They celebrated my fall. I memorized those faces, not to worship them, to measure the distance between who I was and who I would become. I learned the difference between mercy and surrender. I chose neither. I chose oath. I chose the promise I made to my own reflection when even the mirror turned away. Rise, it said, rise, even if rising looks like crawling through glass. Rise, even if rising sounds like breaking. Rise, and let the breaking be music. You who doubt, you who shake, you who feel the room thinning around you, clench your jaw, plant your feet. Name your fear, and then starve it. The night has teeth. So do you. They laughed. They pointed. They celebrated my fall. I keep those words like ammunition. I keep those memories like currency. I keep that pain like a crown I haven't worn yet. Not because I need their eyes to see me, because I need my eyes to never forget. The echo still claws. Good. Let it. Let it carve the path. Let it mark the door I will walk through. They laughed. They pointed. They celebrated my fall. And I learned to speak to darkness until it answered to my name. The world turned its back. And so I walked alone. No crown, no name, no dignity left to carry. I became a shadow dragging broken bones across the silence. Nights were my only witnesses. Hunger became my closest companion. The cold wrapped itself around me like a cruel lover whispering that I would not last till dawn. And yet dawn came, and so did I. I died 1,000 deaths in their absence, but each one carved me into stone. Do you hear that? Each humiliation was a hammer. Each betrayal, a blade. Each night I clawed against despair. Another chiseling strike shaping what I would become. They thought they buried me, but ashes do not stay buried. They smolder. They wait. They breathe in silence, feeding on the memory of fire. I was the ashes they left behind, forgotten, but still alive, still burning. Hunger was no longer emptiness. It was a drumbeat, a reminder. Each growl in my stomach was the roar of a beast they could not tame. Each shiver in my bones was a warning bell to the universe. I endure when comfort has abandoned me. I endure when hope has been stripped away. You know this, don't you? You who have been left in the ruins. You who have stared at your hands and wondered why the world took everything but left you breathing. That breath is not weakness. That breath is defiance. Every inhale is a declaration. Every exhale, rebellion. They said I was finished, that I was erased, that I would fade, like smoke in the wind. But smoke lingers. It clings. It crawls into lungs and refuses to be forgotten. I was not gone. I was becoming. Silence was my teacher. It taught me patience, sharper than any blade. It taught me that loneliness is not an enemy. It is an architect. It builds walls no one can breach. It digs foundations deeper than betrayal can reach. It teaches you the value of your own echo, the rhythm of your own heartbeat, the unshakable truth that you need no applause to be alive. I walked through hunger until hunger became strength. I walked through nights so cold, my bones cracked, until the cold itself bowed before my endurance. I walked through ridicule, echoing in my skull, until those echoes became my war drums. I died 1,000 deaths in their absence, but each one carved me into stone. And the stone remembers. They will never understand what it means to lose everything, to walk with no light, no map, no hand to hold, to fall into the pit and discover the pit has no bottom. But I know, and because I know, I carry something they never will. Fire in my veins, ice in my nerves, a resolve sharper than the teeth of despair. The forgotten do not stay forgotten. We are the storm hidden behind the horizon. We are the silence before the earth splits open. We are the ashes that still smolder, waiting to rise as fire. I carried that silence like a blade. I carried that hunger like a crown. I carried that exile like an oath. Every step forward was a vow. Every scar was scripture written in flesh. I did not ask for redemption. I did not beg for mercy. I asked only one question. How long can the forgotten burn before the world learns to fear the fire? I died 1,000 deaths in their absence, but each one carved me into stone. And now the stone has teeth, and the teeth are hungry. Tell me, do you feel it? That quiet ache in your chest, That gnawing wound the world pretends not to see. That is your fire. That is your proof. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are the ashes that refuse to die. And when the wind returns to scatter what remains, it will find not dust, but embers. And those embers will burn the world that once laughed. The furnace awaited me. Not a furnace of fire and smoke, but a furnace of silence, of solitude, of endless trial. It swallowed the boy they mocked. It spat out something else. Every insult was a hammer. Every rejection was fire. And I was the blade being forged. I learned the weight of scars. They were not wounds anymore. They were scriptures carved into flesh. They whispered truths no teacher could give. Each scar told me, you endured. You did not break. You will not break. Books became my companions when voices abandoned me. In their pages, I found minds that bled before me, souls that raged before me. They gave me words sharper than any sword, thoughts heavier than any chain. I studied not for their approval, but for my revenge. Knowledge became my blade. Patience became my shield. Sweat baptized me. My body learned the rhythm of repetition, the grind, the pain, the rise again. My muscles did not grow from comfort. They grew from war against weakness. I fought my own limits, until limits became rubble under my feet. Silence taught me more than their laughter ever could. In silence I learned to hear the heartbeat of my rage. In silence I learned that loneliness is not emptiness. It is fuel. Solitude was not exile. It was training. It was the crucible where I burned away weakness. Break me. Burn me. Burn me. I will rise sharper. You want to know what transformation tastes like? It tastes like blood in your mouth and victory in your lungs. It tastes like swallowing humiliation until it turns into steel on your tongue. It tastes like silence pressing against your skull until your thoughts scream louder than the world. I tore out the parts of me that begged for mercy. I crushed the parts that longed for their acceptance. I killed the version of me that asked for love. What survived was unrecognizable, even to me, a darker self, a stronger self, a self that did not wait for the world's permission to exist. Do you understand? This is what they fear. They fear the fire they lit in me. They fear the anvil of my suffering. They fear the furnace that turned me from flesh into weapon. Every insult was a hammer. Every rejection was fire. And I was the blade being forged. I became addicted to the climb, to the weight, to the pain, to the silence. Every struggle was not my enemy. It was my architect. I stopped cursing the storm. I became the storm. I stopped running from the fire. I walked into it, bare and bleeding, and I did not leave until I carried the fire inside me. Break me, burn me, burn me. I will rise sharper. The weak cling to comfort. They pray for easier paths. They dream of soft nights and gentle hands. Not me. I crave the weight of chains, because I know chains polish strength. I crave the taste of rejection, because rejection feeds hunger. I crave the sting of betrayal, because betrayal sharpens vengeance. I am not who I was. The boy who begged for their kindness died in the furnace. The man who emerged does not beg, does not kneel, does not break. And you, yes, you listening, you carry your own furnace. You carry your own fire. You think it is destroying you. It is not. It is remaking you. It is burning away the fragile, the naive, the soft. It is leaving only steel, only something unbreakable. Every insult is a hammer. Every rejection is fire. And you are the blade being forged. Remember this. Pain is not punishment. Pain is transformation. Every night you think is killing you, is carving you. Every silence you think is empty, is teaching you. Every betrayal you think is the end is building your beginning. Break me. Burn me. Burn me. I will rise sharper. Say it until it becomes marrow in your bones. Say it until even death trembles to hear you. Say it until it fireballs before you. I am not fragile. I am not forgotten. I am the forged. I am the sharpened. I am the storm born in fire. Then when I rise, I will not rise as I was. I will rise as what the furnace created. Sharper, stronger, unstoppable. They locked me outside their gates. But out there, in the wilderness, they feared. I built empires. They thought exile was death. It was rebirth. They thought shadows would consume me. They were right. But they never understood that shadows do not devour me. I devour them. This is the truth they refuse to face. Society only loves what it can control. It praises obedience, worships submission, rewards silence. But I was not born to bow. I was not born to be a tame reflection of their fragile order. I was born to fracture it, to unmask it, to prove that power lives not in their gates, but in those they cast out. I stopped asking why they hated me. I stopped pleading for their mercy. I stopped pleading at their feet. Instead, I sharpened the hatred they handed me, until it cut through every chain they tried to bind me with. Listen carefully. They fear what they cannot predict. They fear what they cannot bend. They fear what refuses to kneel. And I am all three. I embraced the darkness they cursed me with. I wore it like armor. I let it seep into my veins, until rage became discipline, and discipline became destiny. They called me villain. I accepted. They called me dangerous. I smiled. They called me unworthy. I proved them blind. Villain, dangerous, unworthy. I took their words, forged them into a crown, and placed it on my own head. Do you understand what power truly is? It is not permission. It is not applause. It is not the trembling approval of the masses. It is silence. It is self. It is standing alone in the void and realizing you are no longer afraid of the dark because you are the dark. They tried to strip me of value. They failed because value does not come from them. It comes from what I endure, what I build, what I claim. They locked me outside their gates, but out there, I built empires. Empires of thought, empires of will, empires of hunger that no wall can contain. I turned loneliness into an army. I turned rejection into a throne. I turned rage into a language the world will one day be forced to learn. And when I finally returned, I did not knock. I tore the gates from their hinges. This is the lesson I carved into my soul. Light is overrated. They worship light because it hides their rot. They praise it because it blinds the masses to the truth. But shadows expose everything. Shadows strip away illusions. Shadows reveal who you are when the world looks away. And in those shadows, I found myself. Not the weak self, not the broken self, the true self. The self that does not apologize for hunger. The self that does not beg for belonging. The self that does not ask for love, because it is complete in its defiance. Calm, yes, but beneath this calm rage, a rage colder than fire, sharper than glass, older than time, rage that no longer screams, rage that no longer pleads, rage that waits, silent, patient, ready to strike with the inevitability of storms. They think villains are born of hate, but villains are born of truth. The truth that love is conditional. The truth that loyalty is fragile. The truth that society fears strength. It cannot leash. And so I became everything they feared. Unleashed. Unshackled. Unstoppable. I wear the title they gave me. Villain. Not as shame, but as honor. For in their story, I am the darkness. But in mine, I am the fire they could not extinguish. Break me, I rise. Banish me, I build. Forget me, I return louder than memory. This is power, the kind they cannot buy, cannot teach, cannot control. The kind born only in shadows. The kind carved by exile. The kind tempered in silence, until silence itself obeys. They locked me outside their gates. But out there, I built empires. And now, those empires march at my side. I returned, not as the beggar they mocked, not as the exile they buried. I returned as the master of the mansion they once worshipped. The same stone steps where I once bled now echo with my stride. The same walls that turned me away now wear my name like a crown. The same lights that dimmed when I was cast out blaze brighter at my command. The same hands that threw me into the dirt now tremble to open my doors. Do you hear the silence? The silence of a crowd that once laughed. A silence thicker than fear. A silence where every breath is a confession. Every glance is a plea. They do not cheer now. They bow. They do not laugh now. They kneel. And I let them kneel. I walk through halls that once echoed with their scorn. Marble floors that once felt like chains now feel like a throne stretched beneath my feet. The portraits of their pride, the relics of their worship, now mine. Their gods have new names. Their gods bow to me. They whisper in corners, too afraid to meet my eyes. They remember what they did. They remember the cruelty. They remember the laughter. And now memory itself becomes their prison. Every smile they stole from me now chains them in regret. I do not need to raise my voice. My presence alone suffocates them. My silence weighs heavier than their laughter ever did, because they know that I did not just survive. I conquered. I did not just return. I replaced them. The mansion they worshipped was their altar. Now it is my weapon. The gates that once shut me out now open with trembling haste. The lights that once dimmed at my absence now burn brighter at my touch. The air itself bends to my will. This is no homecoming. This is conquest. Look closely. The same voices that mocked me now choke on their tears. The same lips that spat venom now kiss the ground before me. The same eyes that refused to see me now refuse to meet mine. Do you see the irony? The ones who laughed are crying. The ones who stood tall now crawl. The ones who called me nothing now beg for my mercy. The same hands that threw me into the dirt now tremble to open my doors. And yet I do not forget. I do not forgive. Their tears are not repentance. Their trembling is not loyalty. Their sorrow is not love. It is fear, pure, raw, eternal, fear of what I have become. And I let them drown in it. They call me merciless. They call me venomous. They call me ruthless. Yes, I am all these things. Because mercy is wasted on cowards. Because venom is the only language the treacherous understand. Because ruthlessness is the only shield against betrayal. I return not to belong, not to reconcile, not to heal. I return to reign. The mansion is mine. The night is mine. Their tears are mine. Their silence is mine. Understand this. I did not come back to reclaim what was stolen. I came back to prove that nothing was ever theirs. The throne was waiting for me all along. The walls did not reject me. They tested me. The gates did not deny me. They prepared me. And now I sit where they once sat. But higher, I stand where they once stood. But taller, I breathe where they once breathed, but deeper. They wanted me buried in the dirt. I returned owning the marble. They wanted me forgotten in the shadows. I returned brighter than their lights. They wanted me broken. I returned whole and untouchable. The same hands that threw me into the dirt now tremble to open my doors. And let them tremble, for their trembling is my victory. Their tears are my triumph. Their silence is my symphony. This mansion no longer belongs to their worship. It belongs to my wrath. It belongs to my rise. It belongs to me. They laughed when I fell. They cried when I returned. The marble floors are wet with their tears now. The same marble that once felt my blood. The same marble that once carried their echoes of laughter. Now it tastes salt. Now it drinks sorrow. Their voices break like glass. Words stumble out of trembling mouths. Apologies, excuses, pleas. Their language is no longer ridicule. It is desperation. But desperation cannot erase memory. Desperation cannot undo betrayal. Desperation cannot heal the wound carved by their cruelty. I look into their eyes and see nothing noble. Only fear. Only regret. Painted thick across their faces. Their tears are not for me. They are for themselves. For the realization that they birthed the storm now standing before them. For the truth that their cruelty has returned crowned and armed. Then I savor it. Do you understand what it means to watch them break? To watch the ones who called you worthless crawl at your feet? To watch the ones who mocked your hunger beg for crumbs? It is a feast, a banquet of justice served cold. They laughed when I fell. They cried when I returned. Their hands, once so quick to point, now fold in supplication. Their knees, once planted firmly in pride, now collapse on the stone. They bow not because they love me. They bow because they fear me. And fear is purer than love will ever be. Every tear is music. Every sob, a hymn. Every whimper, a confession. Their voices, once sharp with mockery, now tremble with the weight of my presence. They called me exile. They called me nothing. But now they call me master. They call me Lord. They call me King. And still, I do not forgive. Forgiveness is the luxury of the weak. I do not forget. Forgetting is the privilege of the blind. I remember every word, every laugh, every look of disdain. I carry them like trophies. I polish them like weapons. They cry because they see the truth. Too late. They cry because the mansion they worshipped no longer belongs to them. They cry because the altar they built for their pride now burns with my fire. They cry because every wall bears my name. Every light bends to my will. Every gate obeys my command. And I stand among their tears unshaken. They laughed when I fell. They cried when I returned. But do not mistake me. I feel no pity. Their sorrow does not soften me. If anything, it hardens me. It reminds me of what I became. To stand here, of what I endured to watch them crawl, of the furnace that turned me into stone. Tears cannot wash away the past. Tears cannot rebuild the trust they shattered. Tears cannot heal wounds carved so deep they bled into my soul. No river of sorrow can drown the memory of their laughter. I let them weep. I let them beg. I let them choke on apologies. I will never accept, because this moment is mine. This silence between sobs is mine. This floor glistening with their tears is mine. And I relish it. For every drop they shed is proof. Proof that I was not weak. Proof that I was not finished. Proof that I was not broken. Their tears are not just water. They are acknowledgement. They are admission. They are tribute. They laughed when I fell. They cried when I returned. And still they will cry. Because I am not here to heal them. I am not here to lift them. I am not here to embrace them. I am here to reign. I am here to reel. I am here to show them what becomes of those who laugh at the fire, when the fire learns to burn forever. Let them weep. Let them drown in their own sorrow. Let their tears be the rivers that carry away the last remnants of their pride. They laughed when I fell. They cried when I returned. And they will never stop crying. I am the storm they unleashed. I am the ghost they buried. I am the empire they now serve. Do you hear me? This is not revenge. This is not about settling old debts. This is transcendence. This is becoming something greater than pain, greater than exile, greater than their shallow cruelty. They thought they ended me, but all they did was carve away the weakness, strip away the softness, burn away the innocence. What remains is not a man in chains. It is a crown built from shadows, a throne carved from silence, a name that cannot be erased. I do not stand here for their approval. I do not stand here for their forgiveness. I stand here as proof that you cannot kill what refuses to die, proof that you cannot bury what is already soil and fire, proof that you cannot break what was made to bend and return sharper. They unleashed me when they cast me out. They sharpened me with every laugh. They crowned me with every scar. And now they kneel, not because I demanded, but because destiny left them no choice. I am the storm they unleashed. I am the ghost they buried. I am the empire they now serve. Understand this. Power is not given. Power is claimed. It is forged in nights no one remembers. In hunger no one sees. In battles no one applauds. Power lives in the shadows. Power grows where light dares not go. And only those who embrace the dark will ever hold it. I embraced it. I let it consume me. I let it define me. I let it teach me the language of silence, the patience of rage, the beauty of mercilessness. And in that embrace, I found the crown they swore I would never wear. This crown is not gold. It is not silver. It is not forged in their shallow holes. My crown is made of scars. My crown is made of blood and ash and fire. My crown is the echo of every laugh that failed to kill me, polished into something untouchable. And I wear it with pride. You, yes. You, the one listening from the edge of your own ruin. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are in the furnace now. You are in the exile now. You are in the silence now. And it feels endless. I know. But hear me. Every scar is your crown in the making. Every betrayal is your empire being built. Every fall is your rise waiting to happen. Do not beg the light to save you. Do not crawl back to gates that cast you out. Let them shut their doors. Let them laugh. Let them bury you. For when you rise, you will rise as I did. Unshaken, unbound, undeniable. Let them hate. Let them fear. Let them fall. I am not just the outcast who returned. I am not just the exile who endured. I am the shadow they cannot escape. I am the hunger they cannot silence. I am the proof they cannot deny. I am the storm they unleashed. I am the ghost they buried. I am the empire they now serve. And so I speak to you, the broken, the betrayed, the forgotten. Do not run from your darkness. Embrace it. Do not fear your scars. Crown yourself with them. Do not wait for their mercy. Build without it. Become without it. Rise without it. Because the world does not honor the obedient. It honors the unstoppable. And those who walk through shadows unafraid will always claim the throne. Rise. Claim it. Take what they swore you could never hold. Be the storm. Be the ghost. Be the empire. For when the world laughs at your fall, make sure it weeps when you return. And let silence remember your name.